silver lining for anyone who wants to keep playing. Microsoft typically removes games from the Game Pass library across 2 waves, so fans should expect a second round of Game Pass cuts at the end of the month. As for games coming to Game Pass this month, Madden 24 arrives on February 8th, just in time for the Super Bowl a few days later. Resident Evil 3, meanwhile, hits Game Pass on February 13th, with Bloodstained Blood of the Night arriving on February 14th. In other Xbox news, it's been reported that Microsoft is considering bringing games like Starfield, Gears of War, and Indiana Jones and The Great Circle to PlayStation. Microsoft has not confirmed anything, but the company has said more details are coming soon. So, there's no comments here. So, what do you think of these additions and removals?
What are two games are being removed for this month again?
Um, Galactic Civilization 3 on PC exclusively, and Opus Echo of Star Song for console, cloud, and PC.
What the hell are these games are about? Never heard these games before, unless somebody overpassed me several months ago. Oh man.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's it's not always games you're going to care about. It's going to be like sometimes you see games that are leaving and you're like, that was there?
Yeah, after all these years, especially. I mean, it's one thing like with the Master Chief Collection and Halo 5. Those will always be there no matter what because those are Xbox brand games, of course. So by default,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
That I'm also going to bring up. I guess in the next, I'll bring it up now though. What do you think of games like Gears of War, Starfield, etc., coming possibly to PlayStation?
That has been a rumor for quite some time since the acquisition of Activision and Blizzard, especially. So, because Microsoft, I hear there's rumors, if you want to call them rumors, that it's starting to more of a statements now that Microsoft is moving from being a game system service to a publishing service. So that's when they keep buying all these publishers, like what's it, Activision Blizzard, and also Bethesda, and all. So they're eating up one more they can chew right now. But over the next couple of years, they should be able to turn out their last generation of gaming of their own systems, like wherever the next Xbox is. And after that, they're going to switch over to service, not live service, but to service-related, publisher-related matters.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And
Excuse me.
Also, and should I go on?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I think this next this console generation we're in could very well be the last one, or they might have a. It depends. I mean, I know they have a discless console after the Xbox Series X and S. They have a discless console planned. I don't know if they're going to scrap that or continue that, but whether or not they do, it does sound like in a few years, PlayStation and Nintendo could be the only one with dedicated consoles in the console wars.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's not going to be a good thing. I mean, even if Game Pass does a hybrid of what Stadia did, saying you can get Game Pass on Nintendo, you can get Game Pass on PlayStation, you can get Game Pass on PC, you can get Game Pass on Steam, you can get Game Pass on your fridge, you can get Game Pass on your Tamagotchi. It still feels like you're losing an option because keep in mind, we've had three consoles in the console wars, three major players since the Dreamcast. It was always, or since the first PlayStation, it was Nintendo and Sega in the mid '90s. Then PlayStation hit around the mid '90s, maybe the late '90s. Because it came out a couple years before Dreamcast. Dreamcast came out like '99. Mm-hmm. Then when Sega bowed out, Microsoft took that spot immediately. So this could be the first time in over about 30 years that we'll be back to only two consoles in the console wars. And Game Pass will be the only contribution from Xbox.
Yep.
That's not a good thing, in my opinion. I'm not good. It just feels like there's going to be less options, You get PlayStation or you get Nintendo, and Microsoft will be there wherever, whichever one you choose, or well, depending on how um, Nintendo's hardware can do with Game Pass. So it's almost like if Phil Spencer hadn't been waving the white flag, he is now the way it sounds.
Just fucking what's that big game Starfield as well as the other one where the
Redfall.
vampire, yeah, Redfall.
Yeah.
So
So yeah. So I mean, those two were big blunders. Those two, and unfortunately, that's what Microsoft was banking on, was these games to be huge successes, and neither one of them was even passable. So
there's even
yeah. So
if I can say this though, Triple J, there's even rumors that Nintendo is gonna pair up with Xbox as well on their edition of games to the market as well as a publisher. Xbox be the publisher and all. And it's all enough of rumors from that standpoint, but you never know, right? So
I don't think so. I think Nintendo's got so many exclusives. You know, Mario's always going to be profitable as long as they don't do something stupid like Sonic '06.
yeah,
Um, so I don't think Nintendo's going to throw away all that. I mean, keep in mind who we're talking about. Nintendo even tried to become MCN, a multi-channel network on YouTube, because they didn't want people making money off Nintendo properties, gameplay of Nintendo properties, unless Nintendo was getting a cut.
I'm sure that was unsuccessful.
It was. So, if Nintendo is that greedy, I don't see that. I just don't see them. Um, I just don't see them, bowing out either and saying, "Okay, we're going to do what Xbox is." They might have Game Pass on their next Switch, on the Switch 2 or the Switch 3 or whatever, but I don't see them like giving their games out to everyone or having like all the Nintendo titles out to everyone.
Yeah. Excuse me, guys.
I mean, that can change, but then again, it looks like this looks like a. I mean, this could be, we could be wrong, we could be right, um, but it does look like a big clusterfuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's honestly, this is just another reason to go back to retro. To be honest,
Because most of the games are exclusive to that console, and also there's a purpose behind the exclusives to those consoles as well too. Because I try to tell these younger gamers, whether they're 25, 20, 50 years old, I'm like, hey guys, like, you know what? Put everything on every platform, like that of Fortnite, or whatever. Just that's one game that I guess you can get away with. But then how many more other games supposed to be on every platform? It's like, what's the purpose of the consoles then?
exactly. They're cheap. They're cheap PCs, basically. Basically, if you put everything on every console, the only people that are going to buy consoles are the ones who can't afford a gaming PC.
Yeah, and it depends on how over time if it's going to be increasing prices based on new editions of these systems available. For example, what's it the current gen that we're in right now with Xbox Series X and X? The X system was $550 brand new when it came out to the market. Most people can't afford those kind of consoles back 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But now they're down to about $450 during the holiday sale. So it's affordable somewhat by then. But it still
Somewhat
needs to be.
affordable.
It's
Yeah.
somewhat. It depends on how you look. What each household gears towards what to buy. Because I'm hearing because I've been watching these recession reports. You want to call them like that? Because we're currently in a recession right now, based on what the American expenditures are like through the debts and obligations. So people are not going to buy as much gaming systems after this year until the holiday season again, if they have available credit by then. Because now everything's being like dried up in the credit market or the credit availability for those who wants to buy stuff. That's the only way to buy stuff lately. It's just to buy with credit cards, not through working from labor or through benefits you get from the government. So
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, like I said, Microsoft might end up. This is the Game Pass report, but in a few years, Game Pass could be the only thing left of Xbox in the gaming market at all.
yeah,
So, but yeah, if you're playing these two games, either Galactic Civilization 3 or Opus Star Song of Echo, they're going to be leaving in about 5 days. from the time of this recording.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right. Next, you can now have Resident Evil's Leon fight Goku in Tekken 8. It's possible via the game's extensive customization options. Bandai Namco's latest fighting game, Tekken 8, has been out for less than a week, and fans are loving the character customization. So far, they've been able to create various characters from all sorts of franchises. Thanks to TikTok user at Spectre X Gaming, we now have a good idea of how creative people are getting with the customizations. In a series of TikTok videos, they created outfits inspired by Goju from Jujutsu Kaisen, Luffy from One Piece, Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 4, and many more. TikTok isn't the only place where fans have been sharing their creations. If you look up Tekken 8 character customization on X Twitter, you'll find various people posting similar sentiments. One user, GameSpot's own Ben Janka, wrote, "The Tekken 8 character customization options keep surprising me. I'm having so much fun with it." Another user wrote, "The Tekken 8 character customization is wild because you'll hop into ranked to fight a ridiculous recreation of a person character, but they'll still be staring at you like this." Be sure to read that Tekken 8 review where Justin Finelli wrote, "8 years after its predecessor originally launched in arcades, Tekken 8 has arrived, and it has brought the heat to match the long wait." Okay, 8 years. Tekken's been around much longer than that.
Since 1994, 95.
Yeah, even Tekken's, and I don't think, did Tekken 7 launch in arcades?
It did. Yeah, back in like 2016.
Okay, I didn't know arcades were still around then.
They here in Manhattan. Not too far from Manhattan. There's like arcades all over the place. If you can find them, that is. They're small in numbers now, but over by Times Square, there should be at least one arcade available to play these recent games. You know,
Okay.
Crisis, the Tekken, you name it. So,
All right. Well,
that is.
all right. So it's brought the heat to match the long wait. The heat system is an exciting addition to the fighting mechanics, earmarked by flashy moves and multiple ways to use them. There is a comment, so let me check that. Someone just said, "Pretty cool." Dr. Games 101, I remember you in SmackDown versus Raw creating anything that came to your mind, as scary as that sounds.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And that's
so,
when I was a kid.
what do you think of these creations in Tekken 8?
Well, I never expect Tekken 8 to do the character customization, the character creation, after all these years of it being 3D and all. Meaning that since Tekken 3 and beyond, well, of course, it was with 3D fighting, but since like the PS2 era of like Tekken 4 and all, we were expected to have the character customization, but also creator customization as well. That was anticipated for years by some Tekken followers, like myself. And finally, now in Tekken 8, it finally built that mechanism in order to do that properly. So,
Yeah, but so I mean, do you have any ideas who you would create in the character customization menu? Are you getting like any ideas?
at age 36 so far, no. Maybe when I was like fucking 10 years old with my certain creations, like perhaps Ronald McDonald, maybe, or perhaps Ghetto Jade or some shit like that, like I did with SmackDown versus Raw on our videos in the past. We did together.
Yeah, and you created J and K from Men in Black.
With misspellings, by the way. I did said J is Jay and K Kay.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to avoid copyright.
Yeah. And also some of them were like the men's had breasts and the females had torpedoes and all. It was a crazy weird experience we were going through us as children in that room, creating all this shit or playing these people that made.
Wait! Don't let me in there. That was those creations. These creations were all your creations, man.
Okay. But we did play through them, so though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But I mean, don't let me in there like I was creating them right there with you.
Yeah, I understand. You have no involvement in my crazy catastrophe of a mind. So
Yeah. Ex-
It's before
in
I
the
was on
wrestling games,
medication.
I'm not that creative. So usually I just created whoever wasn't already who was in the wrestling company but not in the game.
Right.
That's what I used all my creative wrestler slots for.
And I wasn't on medication until like 2010. So imagine my mind back, 2004 or 3 or 2,
Well,
Yes.
again, you were creating guys from Men in Black. You were creating these men who had breasts and women who had torpedoes for breast. I mean,
Yes, it was a different time, guys. We had magazines like Jugs and Playboy and shit like that. National Geographic. So
okay.
very different times,
Um.
guys.
Oh. Anyway.
Yes.
So yeah.
Anyway,
So it sounds like you can at least change a character or customize someone. Um. But like they said, you could just go into a ranked match. You have no idea who you'll end up facing until you see who you're connected with.
oh yeah,
And the options are now limitless because you can customize characters in Tekken 8.
that's good. After all these
Yeah,
years too, because you just stick with like the outfits and all, not the actual move sets or that sort. I'm assuming, right?
yeah. Basically, it sounds. I don't know if you would stick with the moves or not. But
Soul Calibur
the
six had
the
that.
way they made it sounds like you're going to be able to you know. I don't know if you pick a move set just from a fighter or if you can pick different moves like a creative wrestler game. Um, but the way it sounds like you can at least customize your character to look any way you want.
Okay. So
Like it,
if I recall correctly, Soul Calibur 6 has a creation mode too. That was much better. It was just as good as what I'm hearing now with Tekken 8, but it might be much better in Tekken 8 now. So
oh, okay. I got bored in Soul Calibur 5, so I haven't even played Soul Calibur 6.
yeah, the game was all right to play. Unfortunately, it didn't stick with me for long because it's another entry to the series, and it's like didn't have finished the story mode with Maximus and who's Sophia and shit like that. It's still continuing on those stories in Soul Calibur 6 and all. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I got Soul Calibur 2 over there.
they also have HD edition of Soul Calibur 2 as well.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, if you're someone who loves to create or change the way your fighters look, Tekken 8 is something you should definitely check out.
Oh, definitely.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Next, Spec Ops, The Line, delisting reason revealed. Director comments on removal. The culprits are expired licenses. 2K Spec Ops The Line has been delisted from digital platforms over the past few days, and the publisher finally provided a reason as to why the game suddenly disappeared. However, Spec Ops The Line's director appears to still be optimistic about its future. Spec Ops The Line will no longer be available on online storefronts as several partnership licenses related to the game are expired. Players who have purchased the game can still download and play the game uninterrupted, 2K said in a statement to Inverse. 2K would like to thank our community of players who have supported the game, and we look forward to bringing you more offerings from our label throughout this year and beyond. Initially, the developers of the game didn't understand why it was suddenly delisted everywhere. Director Corey Davis also said, devastating personally, but also for those who poured their souls into its creation alongside me as developers, and for the gaming community at large. This is not the end for Spec Ops The Line. Spec Ops The Line was first released in 2012 for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. While it received praise for its story and themes depicting the gruesome realities of war, it was a commercial failure. As a result, fans shouldn't expect a sequel. In GameSpot's Spec Ops The Line review, we said mechanically Spec Ops is an utterly commonplace third-person shooter, but narratively it strives to raise philosophical questions and put you outside of your comfort zone. These contrasts create some intriguing moments, but they are too often muddled by mediocre execution. So, uh, a comment. Let's see. Someone says overrated game. I disagree with that. Um, I really like Spec Ops: The Line. I played it all the way through. Did you ever try out Spec Ops: The Line?
I've heard the game for a while now. It's last time I checked, but never got a chance to play it yet. I will admit that. So, hey, it's free to play though, still, right? Up until next month, you said?
No, it's been taken off storefronts.
Oh,
You
already?
have to
Okay.
you have to get it physically.
Oh, okay. Understand. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
say
I
much
mean,
about it.
don't get me wrong. It was normal one and gun, and you got a couple of soldiers alongside with you. Um, I will spoil one moment though, because like there's a part where like you use binoculars and you think you see soldiers waiting for you. So you find a cannon with white phosphorus missiles. So you
Mm-hmm.
start firing white phosphorus until you take out everyone. Then you go there. It turns out it wasn't soldiers waiting for you. It was a refugee camp
Oh.
that you fired white phosphorus into, which basically burned everyone alive. And then like they start shoving each other like you said this was a refugee camp. You said you saw soldiers patrolling it. Um, and it's kind of it's that's like I said, narratively is the only thing the game had going for it. Gameplay wise, dime a dozen, but
It feels not
narratively
real.
is the reason to go through it.
It's like I played the game Black back in the day. Kind of like that.
I don't no, well, no, because I hated black to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to. I never came closer to throwing my controller against the wall than I did when playing black.
Yeah, start over
Um,
every time. Yeah.
yeah, among other things. But it's just like I said, it was a mediocre game to play, but the narrative and it basically makes you question like you thought you were doing the right thing, but were you really, or were you? It's kind of like Black Ops when your character thought he was helping someone, but it turns out that guy that you were helping never really existed, only in your mind.
Yeah, resident officer's name.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. I think there's a couple endings because like at the end, yes, I'm spoiling it, but it's been out for 12 years. Um, there's like the your captain that he says like I'm going to count to five and then I'm going to kill you, and you have to decide, do you want to shoot first or do you want to let him kill you, so your guilt will be gone, your nightmare will be over and everything. So I shot back, and then when you call in to be lifted out of the battle zone, they go, how many survivors? And your character replies, one too many. Um, and then basically you just see like your character going over everything in his mind, like you know, almost feeling guilty for surviving the mission because of what he had to do throughout the game.
I see.
Yeah, so if Spec Ops: The Line, I don't know how expensive it is. I got it from GameFly. It was pretty cheap when I got it from GameFly. Um, so it's not that it's so. As a matter of fact, let me see if I could pull it up right now.
It's fifty
See how
six.
much.
It's $56 pre-owned on Amazon for
How
Xbox
much?
for the Xbox 360 pre-owned. The $56
$56.
because it comes with two other games, Mafia 2 and Borderlands 2.
Oh, well, I wasn't talking about the bundle. I was talking about just Spec Ops: The Line itself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Spec Ops. I'm on price charting. Spec Ops: The Line. On PS3 loose, it's $14.
Okay.
Xbox 360, it's $10 loose. Um, yeah, and then PS3, it's like $16 complete on PS3 and $14 on 360 complete. So yeah, if it's not an expensive game, if you want to try it out, and I definitely suggest you try it out, especially for the story. But if you do, play all the way through before you judge it. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on, guys.
All right, hold on. Next, Game Pass releases for February 2024 include football, zombies, and AI. It's a diverse month for Game Pass with the addition of 8 new games. The next wave of Game Pass additions have been announced. We went over a few of them already. And in February, you can look forward to hard-hitting football, a fun Metroidvania, and a mischievous cat wrecking your attempts to clean up your home. Available now, and Anuchard is an adventure game where you take on the mantle of the bewielder of the magical Audro spell. Inspired by classic games like The Legend of Zelda, you can explore dungeons, battle monsters, and solve puzzles in your journey to save the day. Or save the say. Okay? On February 7th, locomotive enthusiasts in can strap themselves in for Train Sim World 4 and explore various routes, master one of several iconic trains, and freely roam the countryside in this on-rails experience. For anyone looking to capture the magic of the Super Bowl, Madden NFL 24 will be available with EA Play. The remake of Resident Evil 3 joins Game Pass on February 13th. This is a much shorter Resident Evil game when compared to the remake of Resident Evil 2, but it's still a good-looking dive into survival horror fun while you avoid the clutches of Nemesis. February 14th sees A Little to the Left arrive in the Game Pass library. This is a fun game that will appeal to anyone who enjoys order in their lives, as you'll be tasked with sorting postcards and cutlery, stacking documents, and solving puzzles. Just watch out for the playful cat, as it's an agent of chaos and it's ready to pounce. On the same day, Metroidvania Bloodstained Ritual of the Night will be added to Game Pass. If you're in the mood to spend Valentine's Day with an exploration-focused action game inspired by the greatest hits of the genre, this is a good option. Played Up is a mix of excuse me. Played Up is a mix of classic cooking action with roguelike progression on February 15th. Cook dishes, build a culinary kingdom, and unlock new abilities in solo or co-op with the main dish. Finally, Return to Grace will be available on February 20th. Set in a groovy 60s retro sci-fi world, you'll go on an adventure with various AI personalities as you uncover the great mystery of why the mega AI Grace was shut down so many years ago. We already went over the 2 games that are leaving, so again, these are the games coming. Anuchard is on Cloud Console and PC. Train Sim World 4 is on Cloud Console and PC. So is Madden NFL 24 on console and PC. In 3 days, Resident Evil 3 will be coming to Cloud Console and PC. In 4 days, will be A Little to the Left and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night coming to Cloud Console and PC. In 5 days, it'll be Played Up coming to Cloud Console and PC. Then on February 20th, in 10 days, it's Return to Grace for Cloud Console and PC. Are you excited to try any of these 8 games?
Resident Evil 3 has some capture my sight right then and there. I always wanted to play it if I had the Ultimate Pass. Unfortunately, I only got a limited pass, meaning that it's like a $10 a month package.
Yeah, it's Game Pass Core.
Yeah, I was only can play online and also see like a few games from the Game Pass. That's about it. So if I can get my hands on it, I like to try out Resident Evil 3. You know. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in Resident Evil 3, but I don't want it to spoil what Resident Evil 3, the original. I played Resident Evil 3 on PlayStation. I think I even played it on GameCube if it came out on GameCube one time. I might be wrong about that, but Resident Evil 3 is one of my favorites because it's actually one I knew how to beat, where to go, what to do. So I just hope that this isn't like a budget version, especially when they said comparing it to Resident Evil 2. It's almost it's at least a whole lot shorter.
Yes. Resident Evil 3 remake was definitely a lot shorter. It felt like I remember it was more like a DLC than Resident Evil 2, though. Kind of weird.
Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, that's the only Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I think I had that through Game Pass through Games with Gold when that was a thing.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong on that, and keep in mind the Xbox One games that I got from Games with Gold aren't even available since I don't have a Game Pass membership at all.
Understood.
Yeah, which sucks. Other than that, though, none of the games really can I'm not really interested in any of the games coming out or coming to Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So, ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, another round of layoffs hits 2K games. Visual Concepts has been affected again. 2K 2K Games has laid off an unknown number of developers at Concepts, the studio behind games such as NBA 2K and Lego 2K Drive. Well, the games industry bloodletting today continues. Today Visual Concepts Austin laid off myself and a group of very talented developers, said former art manager Brad Bowling on LinkedIn. I have had a great time over the past couple of years working with some of the finest game devs in the industry. Over the past 23 years of making game art, I have seen some downturns, but nothing like this. This is the latest round of layoffs Visual Concepts conducted in less than a year. Back in September of 2023, Visual Concepts laid off several developers from its production, design, and quality assurance departments, including executive producer Joseph Cohen. 2K has also recently laid off at some of its other studios, such as XCOM developer Firaxis last year, 31st Union, which was initially founded in 2019 as 2K Silicon Valley, conducted layoffs just last month, even before shipping in its first game. The video game industry saw massive layoffs in 2023 and shows no signs of slowing down in 2024, with more than 6,000 developers having been laid off so far this year, and we're only 41 days into the year. Um, some Dushness goes, even with all these layoffs, there are supposedly 350,000 net new jobs. How does that happen?
Hmm.
Good question. And McGuy goes, it seems thousands of new indies devs are on the way. The only way to absorb this gigantic wave of dismissals is through the creation of new companies. So, what do you think of 2K Games laying off more people?
It's not surprising. We're kind of, like I said before earlier in this podcast, that we're in a recession, technically speaking. We're not being told it's in a recession, but based on numbers that I've read and also other reporters read on the internet and stuff like that, it's not doing so well, not doing so hot, in this economy. So, 2K games obviously I'm sure they have made much profits from the previous entries of like the SmackDown and well, not SmackDown, yeah, wrestling games like WWE as well as NHL, NBA. Like if people still watch these sports and stuff like that by default. There's always gonna be fans for that. But when it comes to specifically for games and all, it's not all that great. Because it's expensive. Like asking, what was it for 2K23 or that Angry Joe talked about last year or this past year? Well, not this past year, but technically last year. He was complaining that all the microtransactions. Like in order to have a good team, you had to pay a good hefty payment just to get a decent team to pass in the championship mode, whatever it's called. So it's that pathetic. Who wants to spend like
Yeah,
who wants to spend like $250, $300 after spending $75, $80 for the standard edition of the game?
right. Not to
So
mention, like WWE, the 2K games, because the WWE license has been with 2K since 2K14 came out in 2013.
uh huh.
Um, yeah, so I mean, yeah, still true. Ukes was the developer, but 2K was the publisher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, those games have been going down. Microtransactions have been in them for the last couple of years.
At
Um,
least, yeah.
and then they're getting new mode, and then they're getting like 3 or 4 different releases, with the most expensive one being digital only.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like, well, if you buy the base game, then you just have to buy all the downloadable content separately. It's like, you know, if you want everything in the game, you either got to pay, you either got to buy piece by piece and hope you can get everything piece by piece, or you got to buy the digital version of the most expensive game, which like I said, the new WWE game coming out. It's going to be the showcase is going to be 40 years of WrestleMania. I could really care less. I'd rather go back to 2K14 than play 30 years of WrestleMania.
Oh yeah,
Um,
or the Stone Cold
oh
version, 2K16.
no, the reason I'd rather go back to 2K14, personally speaking, is because I have all the DLC on my PS3. Because when I used to own 2K14, so while like if I get WWE 2K14 for the PlayStation 3, I can load up all my DLC again, and like 2K16, I'd be limited to who was in the base game.
Right.
2K14, I got all the DLC packs. So that's why I would go back to 2K14. And also the 2K14 had, like I said, the showcase was 30 years of WrestleMania. So you were playing. Although I'm pretty sure. Well, I was going to say matches with Kurt Angle probably wouldn't be available, but then again, when you think of Kurt Angle's matches, they weren't really. They really didn't have the same effect they did like in the Stone Cold storyline. Because like in 2K16, Stone Cold Showcase, they completely skipped the Invasion storyline when going through Stone Cold's career.
Of course, because it was considered to be like ECW, WCW versus WWE at the time. So it was a mixture
Well,
of
no,
different brands.
because if you think about it, Stone Cold was basically in a rivalry with Kurt Angle the whole time,
Yeah, because Kurt Angle
and
used that milk truck and shit like that. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, Kurt Angle was in TNA when this game came out, so I don't think 2K got the rights to use Angle's character since he was in a different company. So like I said, once you win the title, like WrestleMania 17, um, and like it came time for the invasion, they just skipped through the whole invasion storyline as summary. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't get to play anything. But then I thought about it. With Kurt Angle not in WWE at the time, they really couldn't do much.
And that's what I hate about branding of wrestlers after a while because you can't transfer them. I mean, they change companies after a while, yes, but you should have a right to use them as a company to yourself for sake of a brand that you own.
Well, they figure you could always just create them if you really wanted them,
Hmm.
which in reality you could. I'm surprised. Well, I haven't played. The last game I played is 2K18. I was going to say Jake Roberts is in that, and he's in AEW, but in 2017 AEW wasn't around yet. So,
Right. Understood.
so yeah. So again, it sucks that 2K is going through all this, but so are other game developers, other game publishers. Um, yeah, I'm not buying that. There's 350,000 new jobs, yet all these firings that are happening, and they're not the only ones. We're going to have more reports on more developers or publishers letting people go
Oh yeah,
later in the podcast.
definitely.
Um, Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm good for this spot. This segment.
All right, hold on. Okay, OBS cooperating. Okay. Next Subnautica game is not a live service title, Dev says. This game will continually be updated for many years to come. Unknown Worlds has revealed that the next Subnautica game will not be a live service game, despite some earlier reports claiming that it was. The reference to games as a service, we simply plan to continually update the game for many years to come, just like the previous two Subnautica games, Unknown Worlds said in the statement on its website. Think, uh, think our early access update model expanded. No season passes, no battle passes, no subscription. The studio clarifies that players can enjoy the game as a single player experience. While there is co op, it is an entirely optional way to play. It also seems like the game will not launch until 2025 at the earliest, as early access is not planned for 2024. However, Unknown Worlds will provide more information later this year. The claims that the next Subnautica game would be a live service title seems to have come from an older version of Krafton's earnings documents. What looks to be a new amended version of the earnings document uploaded to Krafton's investor site does not include the mention of games as a service. Back in 2022, Unknown Worlds announced that it was working on a new Subnautica game. Subnautica Below Zero is the second and latest entry in the series. Before that, Subnautica launched in 2018. In GameSpot's Subnautica review, Brett Todd said Subnautica's story, scares, and beautifully rendered underwater setting makes it one of the most fascinating survival games around. So let's look at the comments. Then I'll get Dr. Games 101's thoughts. Okay. Gunny Ninja says more of this. Attire X says unless next Subnautica is a live service co-op battle royale hero looter shooter, not playing. Fail. And
Wow.
Nephilim said in response to Attire X, listen, I just need to have at least $4,000 worth of microtransactions and cosmetic items, pets, is the only way I want to play any games these days. And I think he was being facetious. But what do you think of Subnautica not being another live service game? Thankfully,
Oh, so when was it coming out exactly? Is it already out? The Subnautica game?
no. The third game is not going to release until at least 2025.
I see. And it was already at one point was a battle royale game of sorts,
They
or
said it was. They said it was planning. It was. They said that at first it was described as a live service game, but now the report that investors got, it doesn't mention it being live service anywhere. So it looks like,
uh-huh.
while they can lie to us, they really can't lie to their investors. That could be fraud.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I can't say much about it because I never really played any of the Subnautica games. I heard of it for a while now. Um, Unfortunately, I thought they were more like exploring the deep sea with submarines and stuff, right?
Well, that's
Or
kind of what it is. It is an you are underwater game. It is
okay,
an underwater game.
hmm yeah, I
But
never.
I do have to say with the debacle with the dumpster fire that was Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. Um, it's a good thing they're not doing a live service game.
Yeah, let's hope for. Let's hope so. There's too many
Yeah,
having too many live service games on the market at the same time is very risky, very risky because you don't know how many players going to play how many games so far and how much and how much you're going to spend after that too for each game. Because already
exactly.
because of the Apex Legends, yes, I admit that I'm not a big whale or buy $1,000 every year on microtransactions, but in my lifetime, I spent about at least $25 on that Apex Legends game for the whatever the skins are or the cosmetics or even the special features or such and such. Well, that was it. I'm like one of the average players that played that game, technically speaking. So, for me personally, I would not buy it just for the sake of spending more money after buying the full game to it.
Well, also keep in mind, like when the WWE games was coming out, I was buying them every year. There was DLC on top of that, and I used to get it almost every year when I was getting the games as on launch day. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's not like I've never bought anything, but they said no subscriptions, no battle passes, no season passes. Basically, we're just going to update the game. I don't know how they're going to make money though. I mean, so what? They're going to sell it once, and then it's just going to continue to be updated for free.
That's gonna turn out to be like Devil May Cry 5, where you just buy the base game and just spend however you want to spend on lives and skins and stuff for your players.
Maybe.
Because Devil May Cry
Yeah.
5 is a single player game, so
Right. And they said this is going to be single player, although you can play co-op if you choose.
yeah. It's like the game is. I know it's going to change subjects a little bit, but still the same concept. Like the game Insanely Twisted Channel Planet. You ever played that one before? For the 360?
Once, yeah.
Yeah, you still play online to this day with other people if you find the right people still playing the game to this day.
Oh wow.
Not everyone's playing it obviously in today's world, but many months years ago you could get people to team up with in that game. Unfortunately, it's not versus battles or versus royale whatever, but it's like this co-op. Go to the next segment over and over and make sure you don't get engulfed by the monsters and such. Last time I checked though, so. But it's kind of like the same concept with this one, Subnautica and shit like that. If it's still going to be like that.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, only time will tell because, like we said, 2025 is next year. We don't know what time of next year will be released because they said even early access sounds like it's going to be in 2025.
Hmm.
Um, so as we find out more, we'll let you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a competition with GTA 6 release too sometime next year, right? Because GTA 6 is next
As far
year.
as I know, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know when. But again, it's really not going to be competition if Subnautica releases, say, in February 2025, and Grand Theft Auto comes out like October of 2025.
Right. Right. All
So it
right.
really depends. It really depends on what month and day both games are going to be released.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yeah. Let's move on.
All right. Next, Microsoft picks up Haunty for Xbox Game Pass. Spooky. Microsoft has picked up spooky indie adventure game Haunty as a day one Xbox Game Pass title. Publisher Firestoke and developer Moonloop Games announced Haunty is coming to Game Pass, though it didn't offer any details as to when that might happen, as the game only has a second quarter of 2024 release window on Steam, and its marketing otherwise lists a vague 2024. Haunty is a beguiling adventure built around a creative haunting mechanic that lets you possess the environment and the creatures that inhabit it, the official synopsis reads. Once you've taken control, you can take on enemies using the special abilities of Haunty's denizens and come up with ingenious solutions to overcome the many challenges littered across the game's enchanting world. You will be possessed by a captivating blend of exploration, puzzle solving, and twin stick shooting, all set in a stunning handcrafted world filled with charming characters and underpinned with a ghostly mystery that will see you driving deep into your past. Those interested in the idea can download a demo on Steam until February 12th, but will otherwise have to wait until it comes to PC and Xbox later this year. A Nintendo Switch and PlayStation version has also been announced. Um, so let's see if I can get the comments about Haunty, if there are any um, comments. Of course, up here they are. One her town goes, giving off Death's Door meets Chicory vibes.
Hmm.
And that's really um, someone FWWM Sonos goes toss in some Don't Starve, and Dave's of Fenderer goes Endgeist. So, um, have you heard anything about Haunty?
I never heard of it before until now.
Well, it's not out yet, but they said when it does come out, it's going to be released on Game Pass. It's going to be another day one straight to Game Pass game.
Okay. Haunty. I guess you just some random ghosts like Casper.
Not Casper, but they said it's going to be twin stick shooting, puzzle solving, and you can interact with the environment.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so like they said, it's exploration, puzzle solving, and twin stick shooting.
It's like playing Brothers, except for you're possessed of ghosts.
I'm guessing, yeah. We don't know anything else about Haunty, but that's the thing, with everything that seems to be going bad for Xbox, they're still, they think Game Pass is the way of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I have nothing to say about this one. You move on.
Okay. All right. Next, Xbox Game Pass is getting a helpful new feature. Xbox is making it easier to keep track of changes to the Game Pass library. A few more small but useful features are coming to Xbox Game Pass soon, focusing on quality of life tweaks. The first is a new prompt design to inform users when Xbox Game Pass title is leaving the library, and you can expect to see this one pop up whenever you start a game from the catalog that's on its way out. This feature will also make it easier to purchase the game if you intend to keep on playing it, according to Xbox, and as a reminder, Game Pass subscribers get a discount towards these titles once they've left the service. Secondly, Xbox users can expect a new experience in certain sections of the Xbox guide. This update will be available first to alpha skip ahead users through the Xbox preview program, and the rest of the user base can expect it to see it roll out eventually. If you're looking to add some new titles to your Game Pass library, January's already delivered a few high-profile titles. Palworld has been off to a terrific start on PC and is also available on Xbox Series X and S through its preview program. And you can also check out Turnip Boy Robs a Bank or F123. On February 2nd, Atlas fans can look forward to Persona 3 Reload, a complete remake of the original classic game. As for departures, only one game is left Game Pass on January 31st, which was Hitman World of Assassination, which we talked about last time. So let me look at the comments. Aaron Lav goes, "This is like praising a website for emailing you that you left an item in your cart and forgot to check out, or a gambling app for sending you a notification that you forgot to bet on the Super Bowl. So helpful." And he goes, and so is in quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Mogan goes, "At Aaron Law, I think there's a difference between the warning that a game you're playing is going to leave Game Pass soon and stuff like eBay notifications saying, 'Hey, you looked at this item once. You'd better buy it quick.'"
Mm-hmm.
And Nog goes to Aaron Lav. "I like those notifications. Good to see it, though it does seem sales pitchy. It can still be helpful." Gamer Boy goes, "Go on."
Sorry about that, James. We interrupted by someone. Go on, Ed.
Okay. All right. Gamer Boy goes, "Misleading. You have to purchase it while it's on Game Pass for the discount. Games aren't just permanently discounted once they're gone. Come on, GameSpot." Yeah, I thought that was wrong. Um, what do you think of these new tweaks to Xbox Game Pass?
Uh,
It's kind of like what PlayStation Plus is doing, if I'm not mistaken.
hmm. Yeah, I totally forgot what was the features of the new Xbox Game
They
Pass.
said that like when you play a game on Game Pass and it's about to leave the service, basically it's going to say, "Hey," it's basically going to give you a notification saying that game is about to leave or it's going to be on its way out. And they said it'll be much easier to buy the game in its final days on Game Pass if you want to continue playing it after it's going to be removed.
I already had that feature where it says "Games Leaving Soon" feature. I see in the store. That's only in the store version, though. The store section of the Xbox layout when you play on an Xbox console. So,
Well, they said this is going to be just for games that, like, say it was January 29th and you were playing Hitman World of Assassinations, you would have gotten a notification, "Hey, this game will be off Game Pass soon. If you want to continue playing it, why not buy it now and
hey,
get your discount
discount.
while you're at it?"
All right. I've always wanted to buy the World of Assassination trilogy back in 2019, 2021 when Hitman 3 came out, but they didn't put it into a bundle until like the last minute, if I remember correctly. But that
Yeah,
was Hitman 3, though.
it was yeah, same thing with Game Pass. I mean, at first, Hitman 1, 2, and 3 on Xbox One, they took up 3 spots on Game Pass. All of a sudden, it was all merged into Hitman World of Assassination.
Yeah, that cost
And
like
I was
$200
already playing
a
Hitman
year.
regularly, so I was like, "What's this?" And I saw Hitman 1, 2, 3. I could choose. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's over with so far. Last time I checked, for the time
Yeah,
being.
because Hitman left the service 10 days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if it's gonna help me buy more games, I mean, more power to you buy more games. But at the end of the day, I'm an adult gamer, as the saying goes in that meme. You know, you talk to that kid, like the kid says, "Oh, Dad, when I will get older, I'm gonna buy all the games I want to play them." And I said, "That's nice, son. But you know what happens, son? You can't play them all as you get older." You know,
But
so
you can play as many of them as you can.
yeah. That's the dark side to it all. Like like we're all adults here in this, and most of us, or at least some of a good portion of us in this podcast, of course, we're over 30. We have a hustle or a side hustle, perhaps a part-time job in today's economy and
Yeah.
all. And you have so much time on your hands after a certain amount of hours. So it's like you can buy them on sale and play them some other time. But by the time you turn 50, 60, 70 years old, you turn to an old man. You got all these games. Like you got a grandson, you might as well pass it on to your grandson. All those games, you know.
Well, you can wait till you die until you do that. I mean, keep in mind the Skyrim Granny wasn't Skyrim Granny when she was 20.
Yeah, yeah. It sucks. I heard that she's not doing so well lately. And that's
Well, I hate to say it, but I mean, people were worried that she wasn't going to be around when the Elder Scrolls 6 came out, because the Elder Scrolls isn't an annual series like Madden or WWE. It's every 5, 6, 7 years, and she was already pretty old. So
yeah. But
people kind of knew that, but you know what? She was. I think she was 90 when she had a 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, on the internet.
Yep, I saw her videos.
She was playing Skyrim. She was doing what she enjoyed, and she got a little bit of a following from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe there's hope for people like us. As long as we take care of ourselves, we'll still be here. We got 50, and if we do live to be C90, I'm 36. I'll be 37 in April. Dr. Games 101 will be 37 at the end of August. That means we still got 53 more years.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
Yeah, as long as there's no huge disease outbreak or any shit like that, like next COVID variant.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, speaking of the Skyrim Granny, Bethesda said they're gonna do something for Skyrim Granny for the Elder Scrolls 6. So whatever that special.
What I heard they were going to do for her, because she most likely was not going to be around when the Elder Scrolls 6 came out. They were basically going to give her an early copy of the game. She was going to get an early access copy. So even though she couldn't experience the full game, she could experience what they had ready, what they had already created.
Oh, I thought they were gonna do something like a tribute to the Skyrim Granny in the game of Elder Scrolls 6.
I didn't hear anything about that. Some fans were suggesting to make Skyrim Granny a non-playable character, like one of the characters you meet in the villages.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I heard, the creators of the Elder Scrolls series said they were going to give her an advanced copy of 6, so she could experience it, even if she couldn't get the full game. They were going to give her what they had that was functional, so she could at least see some of what was going to be in 6, should she not be around when 6 was fully released.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of age, as we game on into our 30s and all, I'm currently taking these brain-related pills to maintain my cognitive abilities still, because as you get older, especially with personal mental illness and all, it ages a lot faster. You break down faster, with your mental capacity. There are times where I get, act, a little bit, like Joe Biden at times. No offense to the president of the United States and all, but there's moments where you're like, where am I? Who am I? So
that's not something that's not something I mention online to viewers or listeners.
I know. Hey, I mean,
but the thing is, not mentally. I physically, my back's been giving me problems. I didn't have any back problems till I was in my late 20s. So I did have back problems in the past. They haven't bothered me now for a while. And when they do, I usually just take a couple Advil and take it easy. That usually helps get rid of all the pain. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're going to get older. Obviously we're going to have complications.
Yeah.
You just hope that the complications just don't affect your whole life. You can still do what you want to do, despite what does happen in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
We can move on right now.
All right.
That's a good segment.
Yeah. Next, Konami reveals another new Silent Hill game out today. Today, during Sony's most recent State of Play, Konami unveiled a brand new Silent Hill project. Silent Hill, the short message, is a new free experience that will be available later today. Check out the trailer below to see it for yourself, though as a quick heads up, there are brief scenes of self-harm. The short message trailer looks conspicuously like the alleged leaked images for a new Silent Hill game we saw back in February of 2022 that Konami DMCA'd. As Polygon detailed it at the time, the leaker, Des Gollum, offered some hints at its narrative, naming two characters, Anita and Maya, and hinting that SMS messages would factor into the game somehow. This lines up with much of what's in the trailer. Despite the previous leak, the short message was still a bit of a surprise, as it's yet another new Silent Hill project that wasn't one of the many announced back in 2022, which revealed the upcoming Silent Hill 2 remake, the maligned Silent Hill Ascension, as well as a Silent Hill well as a Silent Hill F and Silent Hill Townfall. It appears the future of Silent Hill is as bright as it is foggy. And comments, let's see. Grant says PS5 only, like not even on Steam. YRN Wagner goes so bland and on the nose. Michael Kafsek goes looks terrific. Shocked that it's free to play. And Zangmaster goes looks creepy. Personally, I like horror games when you can blast the baddies. LOL. Do you want me to play the trailer?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that.
Okay, let me make sure OBS is showing it so people can see it on Twitch.
Maybe I can be like her. Here goes. Is this a dream? Who's there? What's with this place? Cherry blossoms bloom within the grasp of death. What are you hiding inside? Maya? What the fuck? I'm sorry. Stop! Please! What did I do to deserve this?
This short message. It's free to play. Nice.
Yeah, on PlayStation 5, unfortunately.
Damn, that sucks. PS5. If only it was a cloud game on the Xbox Series X and S, right?
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Even though it's free, it's only on PlayStation 5. What do you think of this game? From what we've seen.
Looks very enticing. It looks like something that she's like. I'm not sure if she's going through because I think you mentioned she's going through some sort of self harm phase or whatever. Where it's kind
Well,
of
no, they said self harming was in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
Like you saw the bathtub full of blood and like
right.
what looked like slit wrist.
Looks like she's going through an episode herself. That lady. They go
Yeah.
seeing things and hearing things. Yeah. That's as far as schizophrenic that was mentioned in the other game, Senua Falls. So far, I played like the first couple of hours of that game. So, and I never really played any of the Silent Hill games necessarily. Never did. I see gameplay of it of one of them called Silent Hill 4 The Room. That was okay for the first hour or two.
I saw Dashi play most of Silent Hill Downpour.
Okay.
That's the only one I'm really familiar with, though.
Yeah, try to get the original copy, first game copy of Silent Hill 1 is very expensive, I hear. So, So
Yeah, I think we looked that up, and it was like over $100 or just about $100
yeah, just for the used, especially.
just for the disc only.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's check it out, see if there's been any changes since it's been since I don't even remember when we first looked at it. Yeah, Silent Hill loose 100 for PlayStation, 103.58.
God damn.
Silent. Let's look at Silent Hill 2 and 3 since we're here.
Yep.
Silent Hill 2 for PlayStation 2 loose $97.50. Uh, Silent Hill 3 for PlayStation 2 $100 loose.
Oh wow.
Silent Hill 4 The Room um, for PlayStation 2. For Xbox, it's only $35. The Room. For
Okay.
PlayStation 2, it's $90. These are the
Mm,
loose prices.
all right.
Let me check Silent Hills 3, 2, and 1, see if they came out on Xbox. 3 doesn't look like it did.
2 and 3 came out as a remaster or a remake.
Silent Hill 2 Platinum hits Xbox, $35 loose.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more affordable. And then Silent Hill Xbox, if no. So, and then you brought up Silent. So, yeah, so that's The Room. And then Downpour. They're both about $35 loose for PS3 and 360. Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't have PS5. Um, but for any Silent Hill fan, you're going to be able to play this game for free. So,
Mm-hmm.
anything else to add or ready to move on?
You are.
All right. Next, we got more Silent Hill to talk about.
Yay.
New Silent Hill 2 remake gameplay. Silent Hill remake trailer finally shows gameplay footage. We finally got a thorough look at Silent Hill 2 thanks to today's State of Play. The footage showed protagonist James Sunderland fighting monsters just as he did the original, and also teased a number of memorable moments from the original game with the new visuals. We still don't have a release date for the remake from developer Bloober Team, but the trailer did reiterate that the game is in development for PlayStation 5. For more on Silent Hill 2, you can read about how even all these years later, the Silent Hill sequel is still one of the scariest games ever made.
Mm.
Um, read a few comments. Arias Gaius goes, Silent Hill doesn't need to be over the shoulder. Silent Hill has always been about not seeing and not knowing what is directly in front of you, which is the true horror. There is a room in Silent Hill 2 where it's all dark and you hear this thing running around, but you never ever see it. And that was creepy as hell. Sure, having a decent combat would be nice since the OG Silent Hill 2 had terrible combat, but like what Liquid Snake always says, there's only room for one boss.
Mm-hmm.
We already have Remake 4 and Dead Space Remake, the two best horror action games. Silent Hill 2 should not try to compete with these two games and just stick to horror first and maybe action second. Reggie goes, Arius, guys, I bet you said the same thing about Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake. Newsflash, it's 2024 now, not the 90s, no more now. Earthbound goes, I doubt this game will be focused on combat. You'll have the same amount as the original. Zangmaster says they should have fixed camera mode. So, what do you think about this remake of Silent Hill 2? And also all the things about should it have a new combat system? Should it have a better combat system? How do you feel?
To be honest with you, like I said, I never played any of the Silent Hill games before. I just saw Silent Hill 4 in its first couple of hours of gameplay through a random YouTuber. Um, Now, obviously, I hear that Silent Hill 2 is the best Silent Hill so far, as maybe one of the scariest video games to date in the gaming history. So I heard about that matter for years, for quite some time now. Unfortunately, I went to Resident Evil most of the time for my horror games, so, you know, it's just fear of missing out for Resident Evil side, you know?
Right.
But yeah, but one thing I will want to get a copy of the original Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, and if ever they're going to do a trilogy remaster, hopefully they will. That'd be nice to do that too, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So, again, this game is still in development, so we don't know much about it. It's just people speculating at this point what the new Silent Hill's game is gonna be like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as we find out more, we'll let you know. Ready
Yeah.
to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right.
Welcome to Common Sense TV.
Next, Suicide Squad servers taken offline after campaigns auto completed. Deluxe Edition players got the game early. Rocksteady has pulled Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League offline after players have reported that their story campaigns auto-complete, and the studio is looking into the issue. We're aware that a number of players are currently experiencing an issue whereby upon logging into the game for the first time, they have full story completion. To resolve the issue, we will be performing maintenance on the game servers, Rocksteady said in a statement on Twitter. The studio continued, during this time the game will be unavailable. We expect this to take several hours and will update once we have more information. Those who pre-ordered the deluxe edition of the game get to play it 72 hours early ahead of its official February 1 release date. The game went live first in New Zealand, and players in other territories are able to set their Xbox consoles to match the region in order to play the game early as well. In GameSpot's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League preview, we said after playing about 5 hours of Suicide Squad during a hands-on preview session, we came away feeling that Rocksteady's third-person shooter live game has cool ideas that sometimes work against each other. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League officially launches on February 1st for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. As part of the game's post-launch plans, the Joker will be added as a playable character. Let's look at some of the top comments. Clubhouse goes, worked just fine for me last night on PS5. Played about 2 hours. Fun story. Good gameplay so far. Lord to Phil goes, love the idea of paying extra to get a buggy game early. Devil May Care goes, why does this suck for the people that couldn't wait 3 days? That's impatient. Short and simple. It was their own fault paying extra for an unproven product. Also, think about who Rocksteady's parent company is. WB. I have every little doubt that they actually wanted this game made. Look what they've already done to Mortal Kombat 1. WB is one of the scummiest publishers out there. None of that rang any warning bells. Lastly, the live service aspect. The more you keep buying this crap, the more often this will happen, and when the game is dead or dying, it'll delisted and forgotten. That's if you can stay connected to play it. Ice Cube goes, kinda sucks for those that bought it, can't even play it because it's a live service game, especially those that paid for early access. Someone said modern mediocrity at its finest. I think that's so. There's plenty more comments. Did you hear about the debacle that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League?
Yeah, they kind of fucked up on this launch, meaning that whatever they were trying to uh, pile up or try to wrap up before the launch date for Suicide Squad, it was like it was a shit show from the start of it all. They will care more about their image than about getting proper reviews through the regular the regular channels. For example, entities like IGN, Destructoid, and other game review entities, they couldn't get a copy of it weeks prior to the release. That way, until like the week before of its release to get a
No, they
copy
had
of
to
it.
wait till release day to get the copy.
Yeah, it was somewhere around that time where it's like you get like early access, or so I guess early
Yeah, they
access.
usually get the game like a week early, so they can have the game out. They can have the review out for when the game is available to the general public.
Right, but it happened like that because they got the regular copies through regular means. So yeah,
Yeah, basically they wouldn't give out review copies to basically anyone. IGN said, "Listen, our review will be up as soon as we can get a copy of it, but the
yeah,
WB is not going to give us copies." So I'm happy Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a dumpster fire. Because I mean that's what needs to happen with these live service titles if we don't want it to continue like this.
yeah.
Um, and we don't. And I mean, some ordinary gamers on YouTube. He played it. Yeah, he did a video where he got like through 2 minutes of gameplay, and then he was kicked back to the dashboard.
That's
Um,
sad.
so and these were people who had early access, by the way. So So I mean, yeah, I don't even honestly, to be fair, I don't think this game is even gonna exist long enough for them to add the Joker as a playable character. I think because the game's doing that bad. I forgot who, but someone um, checked out like the players playing now and like the all-time peak, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Its all-time peak was 13,000 players.
That's so little. Wow.
Marvel's Avengers, if you remember what a train wreck that was, Marvel's Avengers all-time peak was 28,000 players. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League couldn't even get half of the all-time peak players that played Marvel's Avengers, which was a train wreck in its own right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think honestly, WB deserves it. I'm glad this game turned out to be a dumpster fire. This game might be like that other game that the studio shut down like 5 days after the game released. I forgot what that looter shooter was.
The day, but tomorrow, or the day before.
Yeah, the day before, I think it was. Yeah, this might be the day before part 2. I don't know if the studio's going to shut down. I don't know if the publisher's going to shut down. That would unfortunately be terrible. But the more they try this crap with live service games, I mean, you have a game out and you can't even get people who paid for the 3-day early pass. They can't even play the game, and it hasn't gotten any better for this game. This game is like one of the most hated games ever. So, yeah, good job, Rocksteady. Good job, WB.
It's all about that money. As long as they get like sales out there, as long as they get their cut of the pay, that's all they care about.
Yeah, well, I hope. This bit them in the ass, and I hope it makes them rethink the rest of their live service titles.
Yeah,
because even though Rocksteady was responsible for the Batman Arkham games, I heard it's not the same people working at that studio anymore.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how true that is, but that's just what I've heard. Anything else to add about this dumpster fire, or ready to move on?
We can move on from the dumpster fire.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Gears of War reportedly in consideration for PlayStation release. Microsoft might have a new strategy in the works to bring its games to rival platforms. Reporter Jeff Grubb of GameSpot's sister site Giant Bomb says Microsoft is considering bringing Gears of War to PlayStation. This could be yet another game that Microsoft is reportedly thinking about bringing to its rival platform, following previous reports that mentioned Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Gears of War is being considered for this, Grubb said on Game Mess Mornings via VGC, adding that this is not a guarantee as of yet, but is reportedly a proposal under consideration. Grubb went on to say that Microsoft planned to reveal its reported new game release strategy at the end of February, but due to the recent reports, the timeline could move up. Microsoft acquired the Gears of War franchise from Epic Games 10 years ago in January of 2014 for an undisclosed sum. The series has always been exclusive to Xbox on console, dating back to the first game in 2006. Since then, Microsoft has re-released Gears of War 4 and 5 and Gears 5, a turn-based spin-off. Gears Tactics was released in 2020. It recently came to light that Microsoft might be shifting focus and executing on a new strategy to bring some of its first-party games and franchises to rival platforms from Sony and Nintendo. This is not confirmed, however, so the details remain fuzzy. Looking ahead, the Coalition is reportedly now working on Gears 6. Outside of games, Microsoft and Netflix partnered for a Gears of War film and animated series. John Spites, known for Dune, Doctor Strange, and Prometheus, is writing the script. So, let's look at some of the comments. Chubby170 says, no thanks, just let me play the Bethesda games. Blazin with Pepsi Man 1 goes, this is good news. Xbox is providing so much value to everyone. It's making every other console redundant. Just imagine with all the greatest games and even Game Pass available on Xbox, why would you buy anything else? Unless you like throwing away money, that is. PCPS4XB goes in response. There's other ways to rent games. Now there's even more incentive to purchase a PlayStation. You can play Xbox on it, but you can't play PlayStation games on Xbox. Um, yeah, so a lot of people think Xbox, like I said at the beginning of this, was waving the white flag in the console wars. Um, do you think people are overreacting, or do you think Microsoft is just saying, "Hey, we want more people to enjoy these games"? Um,
Well, I would like to say this though: that Gears of War has been on anyone's radar since Gears of War 3. So it's kind of like it's irrelevant to put it out there right this second, especially in today's climate on like political correctness and SJWs and feminism stuff like that. That's going out of proportion. Because you know how it is when certain games you try to release, it's just too offensive or it's too controversial and stuff. So Gears of War is kind of like that in the year 2024. So, I mean, you can if you really want to put it out there, especially the Ultimate Edition that came out back, was it 2016 at all? I just got it on sale for about $5, so it was on sale as like last week, so for the Xbox One. So,
yeah, Gears of War is one campaign, one franchise I played a lot. Like I said, I beat the main story in every game except for Gears 5. Um, so again, like we said, a lot of people think this is the end of Xbox. This is Xbox saying, you want Game Pass, you want this, you can play Game Pass here. You want this, you can play Game Pass on that too. You want to play Game Pass on this, which everyone's saying, what's the point of having an Xbox um, if you can get Game Pass on PlayStation? Because on PlayStation, then you could get Game Pass Xbox games and PlayStation games. Um, so yeah, I don't know if this is them surrendering. It does sound like it. It does sound like they're trying to become the next Google Stadia, but instead of just having like something that you plug into like your smart TV, it's going to be on a different system, or it's going to be available on different systems, so you don't need an Xbox per se. Um, but yeah, this isn't also. This is also when Gears of War was not really. It really never reached the hype it had when Gears of War 3 came out.
hmm
So it's I don't know. Like they said, the new Indiana Jones game is also coming out, among others. Um, but basically, we just have to find out. There's supposed to be a report coming out next sometime this week about the future of Xbox. So, like we said, it's still all speculation. But a lot of people are thinking that Xbox is basically getting ready to bow out.
Yeah, Phil Spencer said he gave up the other month or two back after Starfield came out, if not Redfall came out, and
Yep.
it's decided that it's all going to come to an end. Xbox brand, or not the Xbox brand, but the Xbox system, at least.
The Xbox system, yeah, it looks like Game Pass is just going to be that, just the service. That's all that's going to be left.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I would like to say this stuff when it comes to Gears of War, though. Like, it's still a good game to play up until Gears of War 3. It's just that after Judgment, with Gears of War 4 and 5, it was kind of getting not boring, it was very repetitive. Like, it wasn't really showing much interest in the story with Kate and all. It was that bad. And I tried to beat that boss level with that fucking Berserker that's like 3 times the size of the regular Berserker from Gears of War 1 and all. But, it was too hard for me to, and it captured my steadiness to keep playing the game in a sense. So
Yeah, like I'll even agree with that. The first half of Gears of War 4 is really boring.
yeah,
Campaign mode. Um, that's why I stick. I stuck it out just because of how much I love the Gears of War franchise. Um, I'm a big defender of Gears of War Judgment. Uh, Gears of War 4 multiplayer was though where I spent a lot of time and had most of the fun that I had playing that game.
hmm
Um, but yeah, um, I agree. The story mode after Judgment, I'd say the story got bad. I don't even remember what the story was in Gears 5, and I played it for an hour.
it was like Kate's background as a part of the Locusts or the Lurkers, what they would call them. Something because they focus so much on Kate instead of on JD and Marcus, which is kind of stupid on their part. Coalition.
Well, what they're trying to do, they're trying to bring in new characters and give them all an identity why you should care about all of them. You know, back we had Cole, we had Paddock, we had what was that chick's name in the original Gears?
Anya? Anya? No.
No, I forgot what I no. In Judgment, they called her Cadet.
Oh, okay.
But that wasn't her real name.
Hmm.
But basically, um, they some of these characters died. Like Paddock, he and Cadet were working somewhere else, and Cadet got killed. And
Yeah.
Paddock, ever since then, basically, he didn't want anything to do with his other Gears of War um,
Cold as shit is cold.
coalition because he didn't want to see anything happen to them and not be able to save them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so Cole, I forgot what happened to him. He was the big black guy. Do you remember Doctor Games 101?
Woo! That's how you know it's cold right there. Woo!
Do you remember what happened to him? I think he lost his wife in Gears 2, if I'm not mistaken.
He was an old guy in Gears 4, though.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, they basically had to replace the new cast, and now they're going through the growing pains of trying to get these people for you to care about them, and it's just not working.
They fucked up on the concentration of these focuses, meaning that why not, instead of Kate all the time, why not JD? And Marcus will be the secondary character, as always.
Right. Yes. So, um, again, this isn't about Gears of War. This is about the Xbox games in general. Like I said, we really just have to wait until next week and find out what happens when those reports come out.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
Good stuff.
We only got about 5 more stories left. No, 4 more. New Alan Wake 2 update is great for scaredy cats like me. Corrected. The original title was New Alan Wake 2 update is great for babies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Developer Remedy Entertainment is adding an option to cut down on the jump scares. Alan Wake 2's Alan Wake's 1.15 update is now live on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. It fixes a ton of bugs, improves some visual issues, and also adds an option to make the game a little less scary. Importantly, it may also render the game more playable for those with certain sensitivities to flashing lights. Launched last November, Alan Wake 2 was the long-awaited, highly anticipated sequel to 2010's Alan Wake. We have at Kotaku love Remedy's spooky follow-up, calling it the best game of 2022 and one of the best survival horror games ever made. The story of writer Alan Wake and his fight against the darkness and all the creepy monsters lurking inside continued in Alan Wake 2, but unlike the first game, which was more of an action-focused shooter, the sequel was a much scarier experience. Perhaps for some folks out there, it was too scary. On January 31st, Remedy announced the latest update for Alan Wake 2. Update 1.15 was now live across all platforms. It's a big update, bringing some welcome performance improvements and adding some much-needed features, including a chapter select menu and easily and accessible POV slide or FOV slider on PC. But the most interesting addition in this update is a new setting that might take the games a bit less jump scary. Added option to choose between Lu and normal horror flash visual and audio intensity. A frequently used technique in Alan Wake 2 is to flash a few close-ups of disturbing-looking characters or other images on the player screen to scare them and make them feel uncomfortable. Often those are accompanied by a loud, unsettling noise or music cue. The flashes were very scary and were used to effectively keep players on their toes. And for some players sensitive to flashing lights, the effect may have been a serious problem, so it's great that this option has been added. Luckily, I don't have a sensitivity to flashing lights, and of course, this had to keep scrolling. And as for the horror aspects, I can totally handle the unsettling effects of those jump scares. They don't frighten me one bit. Sure, I mean, yeah, I might have dropped my controller once or twice during some really harrowing moments, and yeah, sure, yeah, I maybe had to take a break or two when things got too scary and intense, but I'm not a weenie. Not at all. Still. Maybe I'll check out this new setting when I go back to play Alan Wake 2's New Game Plus mode. Just to, check it out, not because I'm scared or anything. Not at all. Quit asking. Correction. It says, correction came on February 1st. This post previously disregarded the accessibility implications of this update. It has been updated to acknowledge those implications. Kotaku regrets the error. So let's look at some comments. And then I'll ask Dr. Games 101 what he thinks. Because, it's not like Alan Wake should be like Resident Evil. Alan Wake was all about like psychological storytelling, not be the next Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm looking for the comment section. It's just giving me more crap. Okay, so I can't find the comments. Anyway, what do you think of this update?
Well, if the babies out there, like the SJW stuff like that, they're like, "Oh my god, it's too much flashy effects," which I kind of understand that the cause of epilepsy, where it's too many flashy objects. That's what they did with the Pokemon episode with the Porygon shit. Excuse my language, but the Porygon Pokemon, where it was too flashy to the point that kids were getting epilepsies in Japan and the United States at that time. It was back like 30 years ago when this happened. So they got rid of the episode altogether from the archive or the history of the Pokemon episodes. Unless if it's still there, you can find certain pockets on the web for that specific episode, if you can find it, though. That's just one example, so I can understand that. But anything with more like the intensity of the scare jumps and stuff like that, if you're over 25, 30 years old, you should have no problem taking that kind of crap. So as long as you don't get blood pressure to the point of like heart attacks, whatever, that can be a problem right there. You don't want you have your game too intensely like scared to the point of heart attacks, because there's this one episode on the TV show Black Mirror where the guy was afraid of his own mother so much in that simulation that he died within like not even 1 second after playing the game of that specific game, or whatever. It was like the Kojima of the games, of the scary movies at the time, in my perspective, that is. So it's kind of like that moment, But if it's like Alan Wake 2, it should be like a cakewalk, in a sense, to understand those jump scares and stuff. So,
Oh, okay. I did finally get to the comments, so I'm just going to read a few of them.
Yeah, sure.
AK Brian goes, jump scares are a cheap crutch. The game doesn't need them. Killy the Bid goes, explain why you repeat that nonsense. And Baz goes, I remember Saga and I at the exact same time saying, for fuck's sake, in complete unison, at a completely self-aware and cheap jump scare that I'm sure neither of us was even slightly rattled by. The game starts leaning into these to the point of memory later on. And then people defending the jump scares. Again, Alan Wake doesn't need them. If you're doing, the strengths. This is what I hate about modern games today.
Mm-hmm.
They completely missed the point on what made the first game so great.
Mm-hmm.
There was no jump scares in the first Alan Wake. There were no jump scares in American Nightmare. What was the strength behind those games was the story. You wanted to see how the story was going to progress, how the story was going to continue.
Oh, yeah.
But no, unfortunately, I guess we need jump scares. Like I said, leave the jump scares for games like Resident Evil.
Silent Hill. Especially
Yeah.
game.
Doom, if there's ever going to be another Doom game. Okay, those really weren't jump scares. That was basically just an army of monsters. But
yeah.
But I brought that up because Doom used to scare me as a kid.
Yeah, it definitely did scare me at the time too when I was a kid. Doom.
Like I said, I hated those imps. Those were the pink monsters, by the way. And then I didn't even know about the invisible monsters until I got older.
Mm.
So, anyway, yeah. So I mean, My opinion, go back to storytelling. Also, from what Dr. Games 101 has said, from what he heard, go back to making the story about Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't include a random black female police officer for fuck's sake. It's like I don't mind the secondary character to be in the game, whatever, especially if they're connected through other means and ends. But Alan Wake is called Alan Wake for a reason. The games. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at the first Alan Wake, basically Barry came like after the first chapter or the first episode, if you want to call it that. Um, and the female cop that wasn't sure if Alan Wake had killed his wife or not. She was also kind of heavily in the story, but it was still all about Alan Wake.
hmm
Barry and that cop were support, and the other people were supporting cast. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. This is going to be a short episode. We only got three stories left. PlayStation Plus free games for February 2024 are revealed. February's lineup of PlayStation Plus essential freebies include the brand new multiplayer shooter Foam Stars. PlayStation has unveiled the next batch of free games for PlayStation Plus subscribers. Most notably, February's lineup includes Foam Stars, a new 4 vs 4 multiplayer shooter that launches on February 6th. Foam Stars will be joined by another multiplayer shooter, Roller and the 2022 action RPG Steel Rising. All PlayStation Plus subscribers will be able to claim the trio of freebies starting February 6th, which was 4 days ago. Foam Stars is a brand new game published by Square Enix, and while it has a Splatoon vibe to it, there are some big differences between it and Nintendo's colorful multiplayer shooter. There's a big emphasis on manipulating your soapy arsenal to control the battlefield, as you can advantage by soaking the battlefield in foam. Each character has a unique superstar skill to master, and the game will launch with 3 multiplayer game modes: Smash the Star, Bath Survival, and Rubber Duck Party, and 3 maps per mode, not just a P versus P game. There will also be player versus environment modes to try out. Square Enix already has the first year of content lined up for Foam Stars, and you can expect new cosmetics, playable characters, maps, and modes to be added after the launch. Hot off the success of skateboarding side-scroller Ollie World, developer Roll7 swapped its deck for some fancy footwear and roller drum. Imagine if Max Payne had roller skates, and you'd have a pretty good idea of what to expect from this game. Roll7 creates an excellent combination of gameplay systems that are fast and fun to engage with, using some of the best elements of skating games to put a different spin on third-person shooters. Phil Hornshaw wrote on Rollerdrome. Finally, Steel Rising is a fun, Souls-like adventure with a clockwork Parison design. All the hallmarks of the genre are here, from stamina bars to brutal boss fights with telegraphed moves for a comfortably familiar experience. If you're wary of games like this, the good news is that Steel Rising has several difficulty options, allowing you to fine-tune the game to your taste. You can have just enough challenge to keep things interesting, or feel like an unstoppable automation in action by playing with these options. Following the PlayStation Plus announcement, Sony hosted a live stream event showcasing Foam Stars and many other games on the way. You could read more about that in their State of Play announcements recap. Actually, I'll read the comments before I ask Dr. Games 101 if any of these games seem interesting to him. Deadman Roland goes, ever since Sony launched the new tiers, they started dumping garbage on the Essential tier. This is just a gross injustice. Foam Stars, Rollerdrome, what the hell are these games? Is there a way to get refund PlayStation Plus for being a shitty service? As I am not a big multiplayer freak, these free games were really important to me. But now it's just garbage after garbage. Sincere Logic goes, yay, more garbage for me, please. Malachi goes dry. And Shamu2257 goes, keeps getting worse and worse every month. Why they increase the amount is beyond me, with no value is beyond me. So, did any of these titles sound interesting?
No, yes, it sounds the more the merrier based on the amount of games that are there, but at the same time, it lowers the quality as well. So, yeah, kind of create that balance between quantity over quality. It's like a never-ending quest for Sony for Xbox to maintain that. Like you can make all the games you want for a short period of time. If none of them are not spark interest in the gamer, then you're not gonna go. It's not gonna fly so well into the gaming market. So it's not gonna be all that great, you know. So none of those games didn't really interest me necessarily. That's why I played it myself out of like a demo version or PlayStation 5, but that's about it.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, I really didn't care about Rollerdrome. I really didn't care about whatever that third game was. Foam Stars sounded interesting because they said like with all that foam, you were going to be able to create platforms, so like you could get better vantage points on enemies if you wanted to try to snipe them. Um, like I said, it sounded interesting, but it's probably going to be more microtransaction-y to make more money. Um, that's really all I have to say about these three games.
We can never get a full game like ever. It's always live service.
Yeah, and with I with more coming out, it's like why can't we just get complete games like we used to?
It's all about that money.
Yep. So ready to move on, or
Yeah, we move on.
all right? Next, some retailers may be done selling physical Xbox games. According to GamesIndustry.biz, several European retailers have seemingly stopped selling physical Xbox games. Preservation is a nightmare in the games industry, especially as some 87% of retro games are swiftly vanishing with the passing of time, and many recent games get unceremoniously killed off for a reason. Let me just check OBS. Okay. It seems things may only get worse before they get better, as there are now indications that some European retail stores are no longer stocking their shelves with physical Xbox games due to low sales. During a conversation between GamesIndustry.biz, EIC James Batchelor, and the site's head Chris Dring on a January 30th episode of the Games Industry Microcast, Dring was asked his thoughts on Microsoft's latest round of layoffs of the nearly 2,000 workers cut from the company on January 25th, were folks reportedly responsible for bringing Xbox games to physical retail. Dring gave his 2 cents on the dilemma, stating that several retailers just aren't selling Xbox discs anymore. So I was told by a major publisher just before Christmas that across Europe, several retailers have started just not listing Xbox anymore, Dring said. So they've just stopped stocking Xbox games because Xbox is such a digital console now that the physical performance of Xbox games is really low. And ultimately, when you're selling a console that most people are just downloading games for, it doesn't really benefit the retailer very much. The margin on hardware is often quite small. I wasn't able to corroborate that, Dring continued. I couldn't find which retailers these are, but it was a proper senior European publishing boss that said it to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of this is, Xbox is pushing away from physical, but actually I don't think physical retailers are going to care. They might sell controllers and things like that, but ultimately Xbox is so digital. When you think of PC and mobile being the digital dominant, Xbox isn't that far behind anymore. So Kotaku has reached out to Microsoft for comment. While those of us who have grown up with physical copies of major releases being a long-established norm may find this potential shift surprising, it also feels like things have been heading this way for some time. Many Xbox games, such as Hi-Fi Rush, are digital only for the time being, and some of the console's biggest releases, such as Alan Wake 2 and the upcoming Hellblade 2, Sermon's Saga, are foregoing physical disc for an all-digital existence. With reports that Xbox is seemingly planning to gut the disk drives from Series X in a November 2024 refresh, we should probably prepare for fewer box games in the future, and that blows. So let's see if I can pull up comments to see what people think, to see what people have to say about this. While I'm waiting for them to load, what do you think, Dr. Games 101?
It's not surprising because the average physical game from Xbox only has not even 10 megabytes, depends on what game you're buying. For example, it's crazy to do this though. You might sound think I'm crazy and stupid, but I bought a copy of Destiny 2 that's like on sale for like $10 on the Amazon store, right? So I checked the disc, see if I'm going to install it with certain features on it that I can't see in the free to play game. You thought I kept getting more for my buck for getting the base game on disc. Well, they only took about not even 25 kilobytes from the disc. Everything else was all online that they install. So it's kind of like, what the fuck, you know? Yeah, even though, yes, it's an online only game, yes, but I was expecting more content, you know, with a base game. Like, yeah, I bought for $10. So, but it was not what I was expected. So
It's kind of like what they did with Spyro, the Reignited trilogy, and Crash, the Insane trilogy,
yep.
where only the first game was on the disc. You had to download the other two games once you connected to the internet if you wanted all three.
Oh yeah, which is stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I do have comments. So I'm going to read them. Then I'll give my then I'll give my opinion. Captain Tyler says this was always the end goal. Xbox tried to rip the Band-Aid off immediately with the Xbox One, and it backfired spectacularly. Sony is going to slowly phase out physical releases as well, with Nintendo being the last holdout until kids only know how to download games. Then they'll be able to have all control over how and when we play games. Give it another 10, 20 years, and they'll start removing sales. Start delisting and removing the ability to download old games so you have to buy new ones. Make games you already paid $80 for unplayable unless you buy a new subscription to it every year. It's all just going to get significantly worse from here on out. Rogue Lady goes, we need to resist it. The backlash to the Xbox starved it off for 2 generations. If the resistance continues, then so will physical. Dr. Stephen Strange goes, give it another 10, 20 years and they'll start removing sales, start delisting, and removing the ability to download old games so you have to buy new ones. Someone tell me, how old is Steam? And CMA Alien 2 goes, Valve isn't a publicly traded company, and one generally decent guy exercises nearly absolute authority over the platform while his focus has never been on maximizing profits generated by it. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are all publicly traded companies. Their sole focus and priority as publicly traded companies is to maximize their shareholder value. This creates a toxic schism between what's good for the company and what's good for the customers. See if you can spot the difference. I hate to bring this up again because I feel like a broken record.
I understand.
But this is why I'm going back to retro. You know, I got Max Payne 1 and 2. I can play those games anytime I want, as long as the disc doesn't get scratched. I can play those games 24/7 if I really want to. Same with Final Fantasy 12. Same with Apocalypse on PlayStation, and all the physical games I have.
We also got to consider too, Triple J, is that there's also because of physical games can be disc rot on those copies as well too over time. That's what we got to realize too. So that can be also destroyed too over time.
What can?
Physical copies with a disc rot.
Well, disc rot that's something different. That's just things. But the thing is, again, most of these games, not all of them, but most of them, so many were sold when the game first came out that you can just find another one.
Mm-hmm.
If your copy rots, you can always go on eBay, Amazon, Mercari, etc., and just find another copy if you have the money. If you don't have the money, then you just have to wait till you do. And there's nothing Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony can do about that. I can play all the games I want on PlayStation and PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. And
there's gonna be a time in our period of history of gaming, whether it's 100 years from now or 50 years from now, where most physical copies, no matter where you get them online, no matter where in the world, they will eventually break down and get rotted out. So,
Well, if it's 100 years, we would be 100. I'd be 136 at that point. So I don't. If it's 100 years, let it happen 100 years from now. 50 years. Again, that's if I live to see 86,
Mm-hmm.
That's so, maybe that would happen. But like I said, these games have been so mass produced, especially if it's sold well. It's like I said, I'm really not worried about it. And like I said, it's not just those games; it's other games that we haven't even discussed. I mean, look at I have Toe Jam and All and Panic on Funkatron for Sega Genesis. That game's already 30 years old, and I was streaming it not like a day or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
So these older games that were like, especially on cartridge, they weren't as delicate as games on CD or DVD, starting with the PlayStation 2. So it's disc swap may be a thing, but when you got games that still work like 30, 40 years old and they still work, and if disc swap is a thing, that's gonna hamper this entirely. You know what? I hate to say it. There's always repros, and if reproductions are too expensive, then you might have to do emulation.
Yeah, I got emulated games on my computer for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, so more power to me for playing those games or whatever I want to on my PC. But newer games like the PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, those games are going to be like, overripe for the time being. But at the same time, once the physical disc is like no longer there, you got to run digital. And people got to emulate the copies of those digital games as well too. But last time I checked, the emulation for those games or systems at least were like basically in the early stages of like emulation. So
Well, yeah, but I mean, look at Nintendo emulation and look at PS4 emulation. When the PS4 and the Xbox One and the PS5 and Xbox Series is 40 years old, then look at the emulation.
mm-hmm.
You'll see, again, the only reason I don't use emulation anymore is my current laptop. When I plugged a PS3 controller into my laptop recognized it, but the emulator didn't.
Okay.
So I was stuck using the keyboard. SCP Toolkit used to be a program that would make the emulator recognize my controller. Unfortunately, that program's not supported anymore, so it doesn't help. But like I said, that's the only thing keeping me from emulation is getting the emulator itself to recognize my controller.
Okay.
I go in the control panel with my controller plugged in, my laptop already recognizes it. So it's
all right.
so that's the only thing keeping me from emulation. On my old laptop that's in my closet that stopped working, I had tons of games. Well, not tons, but I had like a few different dozen games that I could emulate.
Okay.
Like anything PS1 or further back, I was able to emulate whatever I wanted, and I was even playing games from that were only available in Europe.
All right.
So, yeah, like I said, it's just worth going back to retro at this moment.
Yeah, I should set up my Super Nintendo Dreamcast up, play some gameplay games with you guys. Like screw future of gaming.
The future is what we make of it.
Oh yeah.
Look. When I was searching up for a Christmas game, I was also getting DVDs at this point. Like I got season 5 of Supernatural because I haven't had it since my ex kept it after we broke up. I was looking up games, and like I said, I discovered Quackshot starring Donald Duck. I'm like, what is this? I look up a review. It looked like to put it bluntly, it looked like DuckTales on Sega Genesis with Sega Genesis graphics. I was like, this looks awesome. $19? Okay, it was a little more expensive depending on what I had left from my budget because I didn't want to go over budget.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know what was going to happen after January. But, like I said, when next time I do have some money to spend, that Sega Genesis game is going to be one of my first purchases. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really all I have to say about this. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
That's all I gotta say about the matter at hand for the time being.
All right. Last story for tonight. Sega of America laying off 61 staff. Employees depart in March. Sega of America is laying off 61 staff on March 8, 2024, as job losses continue to devastate the video game industry. As reported by GI.biz, the employees affected currently work across two locations at Sega's Irvine, California campus, with 12 being laid off from one office and 49 from another. The job losses come out just a few months after workers at Sega of America voted to unionize under the Communications Workers of America, forming AEGIS-CWA. According to this group, who made a series of posts on X/Twitter in response to the layoffs, workers across quality assurance and localization departments were affected. A few months ago, Sega management announced their plan to outsource quality assurance and part of localization in a move that would significantly impact our workforce, AEGIS-CWA said. We've been fighting back on these terms since then, but today the layoff that will result in the loss of 61 jobs across these two departments was made public. AEGIS-CWA said it was able to double the number of saved jobs and offer severance to its temporary workers, but despite this believes the layoffs will have a negative impact on the working conditions of those who remain with the company and the quality of our future games. The brutal video game industry layoffs, which tarnished 2023, have crept into 2024, and IGN learned Microsoft is cutting a colossal 1,900 positions from its video game workforce on January 25th, which already passed. Industry layoffs are currently among the worst in history, with myriad other studios of all sizes affected. Dreams Media Molecule, Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red, F1's manager Frontier Developments, and Assassin's Creed Ubisoft all suffered layoffs. Destiny 2 developer Bungie was also affected, causing a soul-crushing atmosphere at the studio that IGN learned about in investigative report. Colossal companies like Embracer, who owns the likes of Borderlands developer Gearbox Software and Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics, Fortnite publisher Epic Games, and Dungeons & Dragons owner Hasbro also saw sweeping job losses. Embracer laid off 55% of its workforce, amassing to 904 staff in total. Epic laid off 16%, or 830 employees, and Hasbro has cut close to 20%, meaning around 1,100 staff. Entire studios were also closed, including Embracer's Campfire, Cabal, and Saints Row developer Volition Games, plus the studio behind Time Splitter's Free Radical.
Wow.
So I'm going to go to the comments first, and then Dr. Games 101 and myself can give our opinion. Atlas-Fanboy goes, fun fact, in Japan, it's incredibly difficult to lay people off. Unless the company is basically on the verge of bankruptcy, you can't just let people go, and even then they have to take multiple steps before they reach that point, such as cutting executive pay and reducing hours. When you see all of these layoffs from companies that are largely very profitable with CEO pay in the term tens of millions, remember that's possible because these companies lobby to prevent laws like that from being put in place. Chris J says, does that mean Sega is going bankrupt or they're in financial trouble? Hope I'm not, sounding sarcastic. FWWWM Sonos goes, notice is just the West that gets fired. Going all in on unfettered capitalism was really a national mistake. I guess this is a socialist. Hold on. This ad started playing. Okay. So anyway, what do you have to say about all these layoffs happening?
It's not, I wouldn't say it's preventable, but, they try to make some profits at the end of the day. These companies, Sega and the Volition Games, you said, with that Creative Saints Row and all, that sucks right there. That company is like, big impact in shooter games. It's,
Yep.
it sucks. And I hope that Saints Row 1, 2, and 3, at least those first three Saints Row games, will be like the best selling games of the Saints Row franchise and all, and maintain some sort of presence for future games to reiterate or somehow some way be influence of those games. So
I think the first Saints Row games, really 1 through 4, will be fine. Gat Out of Hell will probably also be fine digitally, at least.
mm-hmm.
Um, although that was also released physically, I did rent it from GameFly physically when I
Yeah,
was in New York. Um, really, the only one you have to worry about is the remake of Saints Row, which no one's gonna miss.
yeah, that
Um,
was fucked up. Speaking of the Saints Row remake, there was an actual meme of the Disney characters and all. I think I mentioned it once where uh, they showed the Disney actors and together, and it was like said Saints Row at the bottom. That was fucked up. You have to see the. You
yeah,
have to watch the Disney characters first, the shows and all. Like that's so Raven, Henry Danger. Those
I think I
characters.
remember that. I think we covered that when Saints Row was first coming out.
Yeah, it's still
I
funny
remember
to me.
that.
I should have saved on
Yeah,
to that. I should have saved on to that meme. I can't find it anywhere right now.
but I do remember that. Yeah, because it was like, Saints. They're not going to do the same thing because they don't have the guts that they used to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, So I mean, also, like I said, 2023, 2024. Dr. Games 101 said it himself. We're in a recession right now. Don't believe everything you hear about jobs coming back or recession or inflation going down.
Yeah, I
Um,
will admit this. I'm not no big economic expert. I'm not no economic economist, but I do watch and sort of many sources out there going about the economy, news altogether that's outside the mainstream. So just keep an open eye, and a nice ear to the ground, see what's up.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So Saints Row, not Saints Row. So Sega laying off all those people. Um, like I said, Volition Games had to close down after the failure of the Saints Row reboot, which everyone knew was going to fail from the beginning.
Hmm.
I don't know why they just didn't change course and make compelling characters if they were going to replace them.
Yeah.
Um, so, but like I said, also another thing about these is also the recession we're in. Um, thanks people who voted Democrat over the last few years, because 2023 is when we started hearing of game studios either firing people at the drop of a hat. Like I said, how long has it been? It's been months since every 2 weeks we do this podcast. We hear about 3 or 4 different companies laying off people.
Yeah, and making record profits. These CEOs or other executive positions in the same company too. Later on,
Yeah,
that
but we
is.
didn't. But even in 2020, when people were like stuck in their homes, we didn't hear about layoffs happening this frequently.
Yeah.
You can point back to any other time in gaming and tell me when layoffs were happening like this. What, you'd have to go back to the video game crash of 1983 um to find something even close.
Oh yeah. You're right.
So uh yeah, so unfortunately it sucks. Um but anyone who's thinking that capitalism is to blame is a blue haired bowling wearing person that should not be taken seriously. Just pat them on the head and tell them everything will be okay.
Oh yeah.
For adults that are listening, though, yeah, just look at this. Just look at your average day and look at how much things cost comparing to what they used to be just a couple of years ago. Inflation's not so transitory anymore, is it?
Hmm.
Um, anyway, so that's all we have. I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me if you did. This was Let's episode 91 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks on February 24th. Dr. Games 101, do you have any plans for this weekend?
I might do. I might continue. Not continue necessarily if I can. That is with Liza P. Gameplay. I have to check my Game
Okay.
Pass see if it's available for that because I have this $10 a monthly subscription, so not the $16 Ultimate. So I'll check that see what I can play this weekend. If not, I can stick with my PlayStation 2 games. I have games like Dirge of Cerberus and Men in Black, the one that you've got for me many years ago, Triple J. We
I
did.
can't believe you still haven't played that. It's been like 10 years since I sold you that game.
Yeah, I know. And I heard that game was not that bad, but it's very average though. That's all.
It's pretty bad. But it might be worth a laugh at least.
Okay.
I mean, the voice acting was awful.
Oh, they bring in Will Smith in for the for Jay, no, okay for Tommy Jones.
Sure didn't sound like him.
Okay, maybe okay. I remember the animation Men in Black. They didn't have Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in there, but they had characters that were very lively in those animations, TV shows.
Okay.
If they brought those
Well,
back for that game, that'd be great.
well, check out Men in Black 2's Alien Escape. See how it is.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, tomorrow. I don't know when during the day, but I'll be streaming either Max Payne 2, or I'll be streaming WW 2K18 because in universe mode I created basically the Attitude Era. I just entered wrestlers that were there like from the Monday Night War or further back. So like I got 70 wrestlers. They're all from the Attitude Era, or like I said, further back. I have the Raw's War Arena and the SmackDown Ovaltron Arena, and basically just doing storyline. It's kind of like the closest thing you'll get to a polished Attitude Era game.
Okay.
So I'll either be streaming that universe mode of that, or Max Payne 2 tomorrow.
Right.
I don't know which. Depends how tired I am. Also I'm searching for a new job since my current job laid me off.
Sorry to hear
But that job, yeah, that job. They said on the 10th, they said that it was going to be 2 weeks. So 2 weeks would have been January 24th. Then they said they still said they hadn't had anything for us yet, and then they emailed me earlier this week and said it could be another 4 to 6 weeks before they have anything.
So you gotta move on then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still keeping. Yeah, so basically, this job that I had is basically like an ace in the hole, just in case I can't find anything. And then this job says, "Hey, we do have something to work on. You ready to come up?" Hey, if I don't have a new job by then, why not?
Oh yeah.
So, or if I do find a new job and I end up hating that job, why stay at the job I hate? So, like I said, my current job was basically, it's just my last resort now and just see how things are when they do resume business, if they resume business.
Okay.
Yeah, so other than that, it's basically during the day, it's looking for jobs. And then at night, if I'm not too tired, because I was so tired last night, I don't even know why. It's streaming something.
Mm-hmm.
I started over Toe Jam and Panic on Funkatron because I told you about the female Let's Player that I watched either last episode or the episode before. And like she has like complete libraries of videos of games she completed. Like she'll complete like the main story all on camera.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm talking games Resident Evil, Biohazard, Resident Evil Village. She did God of War Ragnarok. I'm watching her Batman Arkham Knight videos. She played all the other Arkham games. She's currently doing Red Dead Redemption 2, which I'm going to jump into after I finish her Arkham videos. But she also creates these videos are like an hour and a half or an hour 15 minutes each. So
Okay.
like I watch it here or there, So that's I'm basically inspired by on YouTube to do what she's doing. Basically play the game from start. Like Max Payne 2, I'll probably be starting it from the beginning if I play it tomorrow. Then when I get to level 7, I'll just reload my original file and pick up from there.
I see.
Yeah, so anyway, that's going to be tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me if you did. Also, check the links in the description. And I hope to see you with whatever I do end up streaming tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.
Enjoy your Valentine's Day, guys. Have a nice night.